And welcome back to Part 3 of Chapter 2 of Thracia 776. The rest of this chapter is probably going to proceed pretty basically. There's no real surprises, no more units to get, no more interesting items. I'm just going to do my best to kill all the enemies, steal as many weapons, profit. Despite what I said about Ronan in the last part, about him basically kind of being useless, he is at least a better archer than Tanya for the one or two chapters where he's relevant. Hey, anyone who can reliably weaken enemies enough for Leaf to kill is at least a little bit useful in my books. I mean, that's something that Marty can't really do. Sure, he may sometimes hit like a dump truck. That doesn't matter when his hit rate is so laughably low. Oath and smash, puny pirate. In all honesty, though, I kind of wanted that steel axe. Plus, that pirate took out more than half of his HP. Damn. Despite the fact that axes have been around since the first Fire Emblem game, Thracia 776 is the first one in the series to really make axes reliably good. I mean, in Fire Emblem 1 and 3, you only had 3 axemen in the whole game. None of them could promote, and 2 of them had absolutely terrible stats. And the 3 axemen in Fire Emblem 3 were the same ones from 1, because the first half of Fire Emblem 3 was just a remake of the first one, and there weren't even any axemen in the second half. And silver axes in that game were treated more like gold bullions in later games. They were only around so that you could sell them. Genealogy of the Holy War introduced the weapon triangle and tried to make axes part of the main trio of weapons, but they were still mostly useless with one exception. Basically, axes in that game weighed you down so much, you wouldn't be able to double hit or dodge anything. The only axe that didn't weigh a ton was the Brave Axe, and it was really the only one worth using. But in Thracia 776, not only do we get properly balanced axes, a good variety of them, we actually get axemen that are not only good units, but they can also promote. And there are a lot of axemen in this game. Hell, you start the first chapter with 4 of them. And sure, one of them is absolutely useless, and the other one is a pre-promote you'll probably stop using after he becomes relevant, but still, that's a great step forward. Thanks, Thracia, for making axemen good units. And then in the next game, Sealed Sword, axes kind of reverted back to the Fire Emblem 3 problem. I mean, all the axemen could promote, and the axes were good weapons, but there was just a lack of quality axemen. The 2 fighters you got near the start of the game were overall not that great. They had decent starting stats, but their growths weren't all that special. You didn't get a good axeman until either Geese or Gonzales, depending on what route you're taking. And even then, their starting stats are not super great unless you're playing on hard mode. In my opinion, Sealed Sword started an ugly trend of axemen basically only having high HP and strength, and basically nothing else. I mean, Othin and Havan in this game did have good strength and HP, but they were basically balanced units. They were basically like mercenaries that just used axes instead of swords. I mean, hell, they promote to hero in this game, the same class that mercenaries would promote to in later games. It wasn't until Radiant Dawn with Nolan that we started to see fighters again that had a balanced set of growths, instead of just lots of HP, lots of strength, but we're not fast and we have trouble hitting stuff. I guess you could also maybe make a case for Boyd from Path of Radiance. He's kind of in between. I actually think that he's kind of a good template for what a fighter should be. I think the template for fighters from, say, Blazing Sword or Sealed Sword are more in tune for what pirates should be. I think pirates should be the guys that hit like dump trucks, but aren't really great anywhere else. You know, they call that a short lance in this game, but when you finally start to get to use iron lances, the short lance looks bigger. It's got a way much bigger pike on it. I don't know what they were thinking. I thought that Hunter would probably go for Dagda because he's holding someone and therefore all his stats were lowered, but I guess the AI knew that Finn was already wounded and they were just trying to deal as much damage as they could. Just a guess. And that's probably the first time in a very, very long time in which movement stars have actually benefited me instead of just happening when I didn't need them to. And there's another miss at 95%. And in case you're wondering, the 1RN system means that a number from 0 to 99 is rolled, and if that number is lower than the displayed hit rate, then you get to hit. This was replaced by the 2RN system from Sealed Sword onwards. In that system, two numbers from 0 to 99 are rolled, and if the average of those two numbers is lower than the hit rate, then you get to hit. So, while the 1RN system displays a flat distribution of hit and dodge rate, the 2RN system creates what I could basically describe as a flipped normal curve, where low hit rates miss more often and high hit rates hit more often. This type of distribution was put in to benefit the player more, as you would usually have a higher hit rate and a higher dodge rate than your enemies, leading to less random incidents like enemies hitting you with 15% and you continually missing with 85%, which can happen quite a bit when you just have a 1RN system. But this distribution also had the effect of having stats lie to you. I mean, if the game said that you had a 75% chance, the 2RN system actually means that your true hit rate is actually closer to 88%. If you're interested in reading about how true hit affects the hit values, go to Serenus Forest under General and look at the true hit tab, and you'll see the distribution looks pretty interesting. I personally would like to see the game go back to a 1RN system. Sure, you have a lot of bullshit happen, but I'd prefer bullshit over flat out lying to you. I had a bit of a dunder here, and I forgot to check how much damage Dagda's bow would actually do to this guy because he's standing on a throne. And when I mean how much damage I would do, I meant that it would do none. Sorry, Dagda. Well, on the plus side, you get to see Dagda's charge skill in action. Because Dagda had a higher AS and HP than this guy, he get to play an extra round. Even though his AS wasn't enough to double him, it basically still played out an extra round of combat. Of course, in this case, all it meant was Dagda took more damage. Yeah, one of the reasons why magic is so great in this game is because enemies tend to have a lower magic stat. It's the most reliable way to kill bosses that are on thrones. Huh. Oh, Leaf's light sword weighed him down enough that this boss was actually about to double him. If he almost could have killed him here. That would have not been fun. I think Dagda was pissed that I basically just had him stand there and take damage, because when I tried to get him to weaken this guy, bam! He killed him. I will say though, I really liked the warrior crit animations. I wish warriors were more useful in this game. I would have liked to use them. The only warriors you get are Dagda, who it kind of loses purpose later, and Marty, who sucks. But man, wait until you start seeing Leaf's crit animations or the dismounted knight animations. Leaf may suck, but he sucks in a really flashy way. I'll be sure to show that out when I get the chance. Lord Leaf, I presume? Who are you? My name is August. I am a traveling bloggy priest. Do you need something from me? I heard you were planning to go to the Pirates' Island to help the villagers. Yes, if we don't get rid of them now, we'll be sure to attack the village again. Also, I heard that there was a cleric kept captive on the island. Very well, I shall escort you to the island. You would? Do not worry, I won't let you down. Leave everything to me. And that's been Chapter 2. I will see you guys all later with Chapter 2X.